If you're a restoration contractor and you already work with plumbers, you're probably aware that doing dryouts for free for these plumbers, that's a thing, okay? That's one way that we show value to those guys. But did you know there's many unwritten rules when it comes to doing free dryouts of plumbers? And we're gonna be breaking that down in this video, including, but not limited to, how you can actually get paid, and you should get paid for these free dryouts. Hint, hint, it has to do when insurance claims get filed. And if you don't do it this way, you're gonna be the only one not getting paid. Here's the deal. If you own a restoration company and you work with plumbers on any level, you do not want to miss this video. Let's go. All right, guys, so the first thing I want you to know is this. There's gonna be a handful of pieces or different segments in this video. And so let me just tell you what you can expect. Number one, not all free dryouts will be free. Some of the time you're actually gonna get paid, and I'm gonna walk you through those scenarios. Not only that, I'm also gonna show you like some financial numbers on how you can expect to make money from it, and you can still protect them with the deductible. And another thing we're gonna talk about in this video is the fact that regardless, even if you do all your work for free, there's still going to be an insurance claim involved because the damage that's already occurred to the property is going to be so expensive that the plumber is not going to pay it out of his pocket. Let me say that differently, okay? A real world case example might be something where you've got 1,800 square foot of continuous hardwood floors and the plumber has a boo-boo in the powder room, okay? And you can come suck up all that water and you can dry it out for free, but the damage is on the floor, okay? And the homeowner is not gonna live with that damage. In that case, and the plumber's not going to pay $25,000 to pack them out, move them out, and do all of this. That's a situation where you're going to wind up doing it for free, but then everybody else on the rebuild is going to get paid. I'm going to walk you through that example as well. Another thing we'll talk about is doing commercial water damage jobs, some small cash jobs. This will be kind of a marketing tip. So anytime you ever do a water damage for a commercial client, I'll walk you through how to handle some of those smaller ones when you're doing the pricing, and then how you can turn that into multiple repeated jobs for that same client. So you don't want to miss that. But before you guys jump into that video, can I ask you a favor? Would you please like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and drop a comment. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. It helps show the video to more people, and it would mean a lot to me. All that being said, let's hop in.
So the reason why an insurance claim would even be filed, even though we do the free dry out, the claim will be filed not because we dried it out, but because the water caused damage to the hardwood floors and now they have to be sanded and refinished. And even though we do our stuff for free, it might be a $25,000 rebuild bill that the plumber's not going to pay out of pocket. So he files it on his insurance. Here's my point. Has that already happened to where he had to file a claim just for the damage, Robert? At least on one of those, surely, right?
Yeah, I can think of one real big one, and that's what it was. A bunch of wet hardwood.
Yeah.
They all had to be replaced.
It's almost like I know these stories, right? But here's the thing. You already dried that one out for free, right?
Sure.
Well, brother, you should have got paid, dog. That's what I'm saying. Like everybody got paid on that except for you. And what we want to do is carve out a scenario where you can still get some of that pie as well. And what we wound up doing specifically was, so let's say that the builder, if that was a retail dry out and it was going to be $8 grand, $9 grand, okay, something like that, maybe 8 to 10 grand. And it was a $5,000 deductible. So if the plumber had a $5,000 deductible, we had a $9,000 bill, then I would turn in my $9,000 invoice, okay? And I'm going to let them take the deductible out of my 9. So I just get 4. But that 4 will pay for my cost for sure. Does that make sense?
It does.
And then you can at least explain that, because those are going to be the tricky landmine type scenarios that you'll encounter, which you already have, and it didn't go bad, but you also didn't get paid, right? And so this will allow you to start to capture some of that. Whenever you're doing these things for these plumbers, it's really tricky to even hand them any invoice, even if it's a retail value and they're going to get a $5,000 deductible, because you know what it is. It's like, it's that first time. Everybody on this call, there was like, where were you when the world stopped turning? Okay. Where were you when 9/11 happened? And where were you the first time you saw another company present a water damage invoice you had never seen? You're like, they got paid how much? For what? And you're like, how to start a water damage restoration business. And then bam, this guy shows up on YouTube. Okay. So So we have to be careful because that's how these things start. Does that make sense? But when you take really good care of your plumbers, then hopefully you can talk them off the ledge.
Hey guys, real quick, in case you didn't know, I help people just like you grow and scale your water damage restoration business. If you are interested in me helping you grow and scale your company, go to workwithshane.com. We hop on a 15-minute call to see if we're a good fit. Workwithshane.com. Now, let's go back to the video.
Here's another pro tip. If you ever get called for a commercial water damage job and it's like under $7,000, okay? And this is normally going to be a dental office or a hair salon, or maybe an old folk home, but normally hair salons and dental practices, they're really good. I don't know why the hair salons are so bad. They just are, you know? I guess it's a bunch of creative girls with tattoos in there, you know what I'm saying? Kicking stuff and breaking it. But like, there's a lot of water lines in those chairs, okay? And here's what'll happen. We did one salon, okay? And what happened is we fielded the call after hours from a paper call service or something, and he called us once, and it was the engineer or the maintenance facility guy. Just so you know, he's basically kind of a janitor, okay? But a janitor that wants a proper title is engineer, all right? So just so you know, don't call him a janitor. He's an engineer, right? But he has a mustache and he loves Jersey Mikes and Marlboro Reds. Those are the character traits that go with him. And they had those really big key rings, you know, so that are on their thing because they got a bunch of keys. So this guy called us in the middle of the night one time. We went out there and we dried it up, okay? But if you do a good job with them, guess what? They're going to call you again. And these hair salons, dude, I bet you they flooded something every 90 days. Okay. And we would just go out there and we would suck up the water, and it was commercial grade carpet glued down with Cove base, you know, in many cases. So what they wanted us to do was to suck up the water, leave some fans. Okay. They're not going to go insurance route. Zero chance, because they're cutting hair tomorrow, bro. They're cutting hair tomorrow. The gear probably is going to sit there. It might run all day, or they may just let it run at night. Does that make sense? And so this is where you guys can judge me again. You can try and drive to the S500, but like the S500 doesn't say stop so they can keep doing work every day, right? But the S500 says this customer has a set of goals, right? You need to play those goals in there. And you need to know, like, if you're doing something that's really bad, like sewage, that's one thing. But clean cat one on that water, dude, I'm cool with that. I'm gonna extract it, and I'm not selling them a water mitigation. I'm not selling a remediation. I'm selling them an extraction, and I'm renting them some fans. Yes, you have to be careful with what you're doing. Everybody needs to know, right? Really, when I'm doing those, the biggest thing that I want to make sure is that they pop off the code base and they put their code base back. Does that make sense? And here's something I would tell them. If it's a commercial setting like that, just tell them to quit using cove base and use wood and pop it off and then just nail it back on. The cove base doesn't breathe. And I know you guys have done water jobs. That cove base, you don't pull that off, 100% mold, 100%, zero chance otherwise. Anyway, the moral of the story was this. When you have a commercial client like that, make sure they know who you are and what you do, because they will call you over and over again. And so we would do those things regularly, and they always were priced between $3,500 and $5,500. Why? Because the first one was around that. And if they were happy with it one time and two times and three times, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Guys, if you didn't already know, the two biggest problems you're going to have in owning a restoration company are this. Number one, getting consistent water damage jobs coming in the door. Number two, getting paid what you're worth for those water damage jobs. For that reason, I'm addressing both those problems with these videos to my left or right. On one side, it's about getting jobs. On the other side, it's about getting paid. Go over there, click the link. I'll see you in the next video.